Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dog Bowl Food Truck. Before we get scooching on, because I know we're coming up to something really big, really important here, I just want to have a quick thing to say. Somebody pointed out to me earlier in Leo's route, like when they're coming back from the soccer game with TJ and Kudzu, and TJ was like, oh, it's too bad, we're not going to be able to hang out too much this week. And Chase was about to say, well, why? What do you mean? My project isn't going to take up that much time. Leo immediately cut in and was like, oh, hey, what kind of flavor of ice cream do you want? And the text even says, and he somehow manages to keep that conversation going all the way to the ice cream shop. That is such an interesting thing to have pointed out. And I'm like, huh. Now, my other thing about this is that, while yes, I do believe it is deceitful, and I do believe that relationships built on a foundation of lies and deceit is not one that will last, I'm gonna be real. As like a one-off thing, I don't I don't see the problem beyond lying to TJ and making him feel bad. I'm gonna be real. It's like, yeah, it's deceitful. Yeah, it's a lie. But at the same time, Leo, once again, I've said this before, has had a lot of stuff taken away from him, and this is his one chance to really grab it and grab hold. So I'm not too upset about it. Not too bent out of shape by it. I really do think it is a forgivable thing in the grand scheme of things. Now, given the hysteria has its hooks into Leo at present because he's been so aggressive with Kudzu, like, no, don't touch him, he's mine. I don't know what's going on there. So the thing is, even so, if we were to assume that Janet or Janice, sorry, I used to work with a lady named Janet, and she was a character. She honestly, whenever we talk about Janice, I think about Janet because, yeah, that tracks, um, but what I'm getting at is if Janice is any indication, same thing with Duke and Brian, the hysteria, the malevolent force that's over the town, has its hooks into people already. So I'm gonna be real. I honestly think a lot of Leo's red flag behavior is coming from that malevolent dark force, whatever it is. I think it's coming from that. Now, I'm not saying that he's totally innocent. I'm almost viewing it as like maybe like he got high or he's drunk, like when you're on this dark malevolence, it's not going to make you do something you weren't already willing to do or capable of. It's just going to bring that to the forefront. It's just going to bring it to the forefront. It's going to make you do things. I say make you do things. It's going to lower your inhibitions, especially if you're already in an emotionally vulnerable state, which obviously all of the main cast are. But so that means, to me at least, that Leo does have problems and very problematic behaviors, but I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as I don't think it's anywhere near as bad. I genuinely and wholeheartedly believe he's not as bad as he is shown because the force has already wormed its way inside of him. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get back into it. Kudzu and I wait for Carl, who lays on the ground a moment longer before finally rolling over and getting laboriously to his feet. I hold one hand, and Kudzu holds the other. Together we make our way onto the road and back into Echo. The walk to Leo's house is short, only about 15 minutes, but it feels like it takes much, much longer than that. Every tiny sound makes me jump, and I'm steeling myself for the moment when I see that creature again. Nothing happens, though. No screaming, no gunshots. Aside from the crickets, the town is dead quiet. You know, I don't remember what location this movie was recorded in, but this, I just noticed this backdrop here makes me think of the movie Nope. Just a bit. Which, gotta say, weird movie. Don't think it's my thing. Glad I watched it. But I'm not gonna, I don't want to watch it again, you know? Still, we keep to the shadows, cutting through some backyards and sagebrush, probably picking up dozens of spiders and ticks along the way. Quit talking about ticks. Every time he mentions picking up a tick, I remember my chigger bites because I would always get them along where like the waistband of my pants would be, and they would just be the and by the time I would get home and take my pants off, they would be the angriest, most swollen little things. Oh my god. It's funny. Despite everything that's going on, spiders are the biggest thing that are on my mind as I push through the branches and foliage. Sorry, that sentence sounded weirder in my head for some reason. Oh boy, back to the Shag Shack. Finally, the wolf's small house appears out of the dusty, dark night. Leo walks ahead of us with TJ. TJ asks to walk on his own halfway here, and now he's clinging to Leo's hand like a kid afraid of getting lost at the mall. I don't blame him. As we're walking up to the house, though, Leo stops. Kudzu, Carl, and I crowd behind him. I'm sorry, it's like y'all are fucking Scooby-Dooing your fucking way up to this, like, oh, and then Fred stops and everybody like bonk, 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 like bonks into him and like hides behind him. Like they all just like synchronized, just boink, 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 like poke their heads out from around him. But again, I gotta point out that a lot of the red flag behavior Leo presents really is kind of encouraged. Like, oh, I'm the leader. I'm here to defend you all. Don't you understand that? I mean, they're literally right now encouraging that behavior. So it's like, is it a red flag behavior or is it not? Like, that he's like this. Because if it's genuinely benefiting the group, I don't know. I'm just saying that I feel like there's a lot more toxicity that people lend towards Leo due to their own past issues than there actually is. Which is a valid thing to do. You know, by this point, if you're keeping up with the series, you know about all my issues and whatnot. It's just that I really do feel like we don't get to see their entire life, that we just get to see. God, what are those things called? Hold on, I'm Googling this. Okay, I had to Google it, but it's. We're getting to see their life through a Viewmaster. And for those of you that might be too young for that, a Viewmaster was essentially like it was basically, imagine a VR headset that's got like a glass front. Now imagine you take these little paper discs, put them in the top, and there's a little lever on the side of the Viewmaster. Now you're supposed to, with the Viewmaster on, look up at the sun or look up at a light source, and push the lever. And what it does, it's a series of pictures. And you would get to look at stuff. And I had one when I was young. And that's how I got to, learn about some dinosaurs, because I was a dinosaur kid. But yeah, it's like we're getting their life through a Viewmaster. And we're limited to the paper disc that it comes with. The paper reel, I guess. We're limited to the reel that it comes with. And, we don't get context beyond this. So if we just look at it for what the text for what it is, like what we have inside the game, not even including the side stories, yeah, Leo looks really problematic. And but if we then start to wonder and ask questions about how we arrived at this point and how this became that, you really start to realize that there's a lot more nuance to be had to the character, and I feel like, and I'm guilty of this too. I already have a strong dislike for Jenna. And I know Lost Walker, which, by the way, hi if you're listening, Lost Walker has jabbed at me about it. And it's like, no, I'll eat that. That's fair. I'm way too harsh on Jenna for somebody who knows her name, not her story. But I should stop yammering because I feel like we're coming up onto that one particular choice that I unfortunately have been spoiled due to, osmosis of joining the space. But yeah, so we crowd around behind Leo. What is it? Okay, I also like to point out that it's been a few weeks since I've recorded, and I just stepped right back into that voice, so it's becoming second nature to me, and that makes me really happy on a personal thing. Leo puts a finger to his lips, then points at the window on the side of his house. It's broken. Shit. Kudzu! Okay. Kudzu told us that the window was broken, and that's how he got Leo's gun. But they did just see the stick figure man. They did just see the rake and get knocked into a lake and have to fucking get out get out of a sinking car. So it's like, okay, I'm not gonna give you too much shit, but I'm not gonna count that as a continuity error this time. Leo lets go of TJ's hand, then makes a stay here motion with his other hand as he starts creeping towards the house. With some difficulty and a few awkward sounds, Leo pulls his gun out of his wet pants. I scream internally at the thought of Leo going in alone, but he is the only one with a weapon now. Apparently Kudzu had lost his during the whole lake incident, which Leo is pretty pissed about. Leo tries the door, then disappears inside, reaching out to make sure the screen door doesn't bang shut behind him. Then he was gone. We stand there in the silence a moment, and then Kudzu whispers, "Hey, let's stand back to back, just in case." Uh, yeah, okay. Kudzu turns toward the road while I face toward Leo's house. Carl and TJ stand on either side of us. TJ hasn't said a word since Leo put him down. Ever since what happened at the lakes, something in him snapped. Maybe we should have just gone up to my place. Carl gazes up sadly towards the mountains, his mansion somewhere hidden in the darkness. I don't know. If someone broke into Leo's place to steal stuff, they definitely want to do the same to yours. Knowing this town, Kudzu's probably right. Most of the people here resented Carl's family and the way their mansion looked over the whole town. Like they're taunting us, people would say. I keep my eyes on the house, trying to see through the black windows. Leo hasn't turned any of the lights on, of course, so I can't really see anything. Listening doesn't bring any clues either. So, what do you guys think that was? I don't know. I still think it was a kind of animal. It practically bent the car in half. I say it out the side of my mouth, away from TJ. Maybe we should go inside? Probably safer in there, even if there is a burglar or whatever. Didn't the mayor say something about it? Like, that it only kills us if we're trying to leave? I glance back at Kudzu. Is that what she was talking about? Kudzu shakes his head and shrugs his shoulders. I really don't know, Chase. So we go back to waiting. I'm about to mention that maybe we should move closer to the house just in case when we hear a scream. It comes from inside Leo's house, and it definitely doesn't sound like Leo. Carl squeaks next to me. Shit! I'm already running up the stairs, though, and I hear the others following closely behind. I push through the door, almost running headlong into the bench where you're supposed to take off your shoes. Leo! I shout just as I realize that it's probably a bad idea. A moment passes where the only sound I can hear is the heavy breathing of my friends behind me. Then... Down here. Turn on the lights. His voice comes from the hallway, and it's calm. I move a paw along the wall before finding the light switch, revealing the kitchen. We move down the hallway towards Leo's room, where I can see that the light is on. Inside, I find Leo standing over his own bed. In the bed, I see someone else. A little polecat, disheveled in a tank top, looking even more skeletal than usual. It's Clint, curled up in a little ball, cowering. Leo has his gun pointed on him. Wait, please don't shoot me. I just needed a place to stay. Leo inches the gun lower. Then why aren't you at your own place? Kudzu and Carl stand next to me while TJ stays in the doorway, gazing in at us from the dim hallway. Leo raises his gun again, and I actually think he's about to shoot Clint. Clint raises his paws, whining. Leo, wait! He helped me fight Chase. What? That does explain why Kudzu just randomly showed up. Right in, around outside of... Huh. Leo glances at Kudzu, then back at Clint. He came up to my door last night. Told me he saw Chase in the trailer. I'm confused too, but I guess I never asked Kudzu how exactly he was able to find me. My mind immediately flashes back to when I saw Clint peering in at me, in the trailer, asking Brian for drugs. I might not have found Chase if he hadn't told me. Clint nods enthusiastically to that, but Leo doesn't lower the gun. Wait. Leo, Clint hasn't done anything to hurt us since this started. Just... Everyone's gone fucking crazy. Might as well get rid of him before he starts to get the Everyone's gone fucking crazy. Might as well get rid of him before he gets a chance at it too. Yeah, okay. Alright. What? What are you doing, Leo? Leo's got a hardened look on his face that I don't recognize at all. Wait, I know how to get out of here, I think. Leo's face falters, but only just. What do you mean? That's why I'm here. Just get the gun off me for a second, I'll explain. Clint is twitchy, keeps scratching at his chest and arms. comes off like he was able to find those drugs after all. Come on, Leo. It's all of us against him. He can't do anything to us. Leo keeps the gun up for a few seconds, and finally lowers it with a dismissive grunt. Alright, fine. How are we supposed to get out of here? Clint slowly pushes himself up to sit against the frame of Leo's bed, clearing his throat. Well, I think it might have something to do with the train yard. There's a moment of silence as we all wait for Clint to go on. He just stares back at us, though. Well, stares at the gun in Leo's paws. Clint. Huh? Clint doesn't look at Kudzu, as his eyes remain fixated on the pistol. Leo, just put the gun down for a second, okay? On the dresser behind you or something. Leo shakes his head. I'm not risking our lives again, God. No, I find no fault in that statement. Leo fixes Clint with a glare. The most I'm gonna do is keep the gun off of you, Clint. Clint flinches when Leo says his name. I look over and see Carl twisting his paws around in his pocket, in the pocket of his hoodie, his eyes wide. TJ, on the other hand, is still standing in the hall, his eyes glinting softly in the dim light. For some reason, I get the feeling that he's looking at me. Tell us now. Leo's tone turns dark, and I look over, half expecting him to have the gun up again. It's still pointed at the carpet, but I can practically see Leo's fingers twitching against the trigger guard. He looks almost excited. The Leo I know would never be so eager to kill someone. Even if that someone happens to be Clint. I hope that when this is over, if we get out of this somehow, Leo is able to get back to that old self. Clint's shaking so badly he can barely speak. Finally, Kudzu steps between them. Alright, Leo. If you want to keep the gun, that's fine. But you can at least step into the hallway. Maybe I'll be able to calm down enough. No. Kudzu stops short, but I see him set his jaw, drawing up his shoulders. Someone actually might have some information to get us out of here, and all you want to do is scare him shitless? I can see Leo puffing himself up too, and I don't like the look in his eyes. So I step forward on Kudzu's right, practically blocking Clint from Leo's line of sight. When I do, Leo's eyes snap to mine, the simmering snarl disappearing from his muzzle. Leo, come on. Otter, move out of the way. His tone is gentle, like I'm some kind of kid. No, Leo, you're acting weird right now. Just calm down for a sec, okay? Leo frowns at me. Hey, I'm just trying to keep all of us safe. I see the wolf leaning his head to the side a little, like he's trying to keep an eye on Clint. Leo, let's go out into the hall. Kudzu, I give the raccoon a sidelong glance. Can handle him for a few minutes, okay? Kudzu nods. I take a few cautious steps toward Leo. He's looking between me and Kudzu now. There's a different look on his face. One that I'm having trouble placing. I reach out and gently touch his arm. The muscles are hard, his biceps standing out thickly under his fur. Still, I gently try to push him towards the door. As I do, I feel him go a little slack, and with a whole lot of relief on my part, he finally starts moving toward the hallway. Carl, still gaping at the whole scene, suddenly seems to snap out of it and hurriedly moves out of our way into the hall. And, again, I'm just gonna point out with how prevalently popular the trope is in anime of like the crazy savage monster who is bound to the servitude of the protagonist like how popular that is. This is giving me similar vibes. Like, I think it's Fenrir from Cooking in Another World is like an easy example to point out. It's like, I am the big powerful dog. Woof woof. I literally murder demigods and then make you cook them so I can eat them. Woof woof. It's like, but outside that, he's basically almost like the dude's pet, and it's really cute. I'll also, as a quick side note, I was tired of the isekai genre, then I heard about that show and was like, oh hey, that sounds neat, maybe I could, and then I heard about like the three goddesses and was like, alright, not interested anymore, bye-bye. I'm so tired of like isekai animes either just being out the gate or like devolving into harem animes. But, yeah, I'm not gonna get into my anime rant. Leo reluctantly continues to shuffle down the hallway as I put an arm around his side, hugging him to me. He responds with the same gesture. We pass a solemn-looking TJ, his eyes following me as we move toward the kitchen. You okay, TJ? He doesn't say anything, instead just slowly following us into the kitchen. His fur is still all spiky and mussed up from the plunge into the lake, and his clothes look uncomfortably damp. That gives me an idea. Why don't we get all our clothes in the dryer? Then maybe we can have something to eat? There's a moment of silence, neither TJ nor Leo giving me any response. Carl gives a muffled cough, though. Actually, I could go for some food. Leave it to Carl, everybody! Hell yeah! But no, like, remember what I was saying a bunch of episodes back about Clint being a loaded gun with a loaded gun? Now, how the turn tables, Leo is the loaded gun with the loaded gun. And, I mean, again, as much as I really want to be more alarmed... Okay, I say more alarmed. I am very alarmed. But as much as I want to be harsher on Leo about his decisions and the intent he made clear, I can't be, because, like I said, I went back and loaded a save, and had you picked a choice wrong in the little scuffle with Brian, you just fucking die. So this is a life or death scenario, and as much as I really hate to say it, unless, yeah, I don't know. The sympathetic person in me wants to actively remember and recognize that all of the people in this situation are still people who are in a situation. But I guess the term I'm looking for is the utilitarian in me actively recognizes Clint is a threat. He needs to be removed. By removing this, our immediate circumstances are safer. So I can't fault him too much. About 20 minutes later, Carl, TJ, and I are sitting in the laundry room putting our clothes through a dryer. I can hear Leo in the kitchen frying something up on the stove. While I should be worried about not keeping an eye on him, he's calmed down considerably since we were in his bedroom. Also, the laundry room is between the kitchen and the bedroom, so it would be pretty hard for him to get past without me seeing. So I keep watch, leaning against the wall, staring out into the dark hallway. Carl sits on the dryer, vibrating along with it, while TJ sits on the floor, cross legged, looking at nothing. This feels so good on my ass, dude. What, the vibration? No, the heat. It was freezing and I didn't even realize it. Oh, I. God damn it. I missed you, Carl. Wow. Fuck. Like, since completing Carl and being on Leo's route, I did not realize how much I missed Carl. Also, this reminds me of that one, like, TV series or whatever, where there's a bunch of ghosts in a house, and, like, one of them is, like, a hippie, and she tells, like, the really, like, the prude ghost, like, oh, have you tried sitting on Mr. Washing Machine or whatever? And, like, the prude ghost, like, tries it or whatever, and is like, oh, I understand now. But yeah, I'm just looking at this like, huh, huh. I missed Carl, and you know what? That's just props to you, authors and writers. You have made a character that I'd feel genuinely happy to be reunited with who they are. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys.